Hello, you wonderful people. Today I want to talk about building coding projects and my thought process about, regardless if you're just starting out or you've been building projects, here are my thoughts about it. Now, the job market is definitely hard and breaking into the industry has never been easy, but it's even more difficult now. So when you're looking to get hired, you always think about building that one project that's going to get you a job. The way things are changing now, things of course are harder, and in bad economy, if you have a computer science degree or you know somebody that could help you get hired, regardless if you have a computer science degree, that's always a good option to have. For me, for instance, I don't have a computer science degree, but I was able to ask for referrals, and that's what I recommend for you, is working on word of mouth referrals from friends who are already in the industry that are willing to refer you to their companies. But with that being said, I saw this video that stood out. And this video is called Forget Coding Projects. This is how I got hired. Now, we're not going to watch this whole video, but I really like this idea of how do you decide what projects to build. So here's my tip number one. When building projects, build something that you would use and something that is solving an issue for you. In my case, I really want to tell you about this video, but I don't want to watch the video. And so I'm building this new application. And if you're wondering what tech I'm using, I like to use a lot of stuff. For the back end, I'm using Strappy CMS. And for the front end, I'm using React. I'm curious why it says Next.js, because this project is all Remix. There's no Next.js. Webalizer, you're a terrible app. This is a Remix application, but besides that. So what I'm able to do, I'm able to go ahead into my application, copy a URL of the video, go ahead, enter it in here, click paste, and generate a summary that I could use to create embeddings about the video so I could have a chatbot that is willing to answer questions about the video. I'm also able to ask my AI and I'm using OpenAI, let's not kid ourselves, I didn't create it from scratch, create a summary. So I could tell you what the video about without watching. Well, I did watch the video and I recommend you do too, but here are the recommendations that she makes. But before we get into the recommendations she makes, my first point about building a project is build something that is useful. Something that's useful to you only, like in my case, this YouTube Summarize app, or build something that might be useful to somebody else. A lot when you're starting out learning to code, building things that you find useful or solve your own problem is the way to go. So that's number one. Build something for yourself that you're going to use for day-to-day purposes. And there might be somebody else that might have that same need of wanting to use a product that you built for yourself to help them with the same issue you are having. My second way to think about, and this is something that she touches in the video, is don't think about building projects for your resume. I think that's a very outdated way of thinking, and let's not kid ourselves. This is how I used to think. I'm like, let me build projects for my resume, and that way I could show my project. You know what? Nobody cares for those type of projects. This is a hard lesson to learn. I'm not saying you shouldn't build them. Don't think about projects as projects for my resume, but think of projects that solve a problem. So instead of thinking of projects, and they could be minuscule, think about what products can I build? What can I build that is a product that somebody else has used? So if step one is build something that you will use, step two, think of something that somebody else may use. Now, that alone is not an answer, and we're going to talk about it a little bit more. But before we do, let's take a look at what she suggests of her steps of what you should do instead of building a project. So what she says is start building a business or become a sole proprietor. And that way you could showcase your entrepreneurial skills. I think this is a very loaded statement, start a business, because it's actually not that easy to start a business. But I think where she's coming from is she says, if you think like a business owner of thinking of being able to identify needs that somebody may have and build a product that solves their issue. When I think about starting in my own business, I think about starting and building my own product. Now, that is not the easiest thing to do, but if you have time and you're sitting at home and you're not sure what to do, think of cool product ideas that could potentially be their own business. Here's my little Summarize app I'm using. This could potentially be a product. I don't know. If you take a look at codingafter30.com, you're going to see that I have this website where you're able to see courses that you are able to go ahead, sign up, and view the course. You could click on the lessons. You could have a little video description. You could have class notes. And you're like, Paul, you're just building a platform on where you could sell your courses. Number one, I don't sell courses on this YouTube channel. Any course that I make, they're for free for you to use whenever you like. But when I was thinking about building this for myself, I wasn't thinking about, let me build a platform to sell courses on. I was thinking at how would I build an LMS that I could white label and sell to others. Maybe there are yoga studios or martial arts studios or dance studios. And I used to do Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I kind of know that market pretty well. Can I build software for them to easily be able to share and manage lessons with their students? So when you're thinking about your project, think of it as a product that maybe no one will buy and nobody will use, but at least think as what thing can I build that potentially could help somebody solve their need. Like in my case, building this learning management system. And a lot of people are like, Udemy exists, this exists. I'm talking about building something that someone, a business, a small business like a yoga studio could white label, put their own branding behind, and I could easily set that up for them to be able to manage their lessons for their students. Also, the Summarize application kind of falls into that category. It could be a product that could help others to accomplish the same things that I need. For instance, this is still work in progress. Am I ever going to release it? Probably not, but I am going to use it myself. It allows you to create summaries. You're able to get description, blog posts. I'm going to remove because I don't want AI to write blog posts for me. But if I want an outline of this video, I could click generate. It will go ahead and generate an outline. So what I want to do is build a tool for myself that allows me to point to multiple resources, not just YouTube videos, that allows me to talk through the content and ask questions without having to directly consume the content, which saves you time. So that's one example of building a product first approach. Coming back to what she was talking about, starting a business, becoming a sole proprietor was her one reason. Maybe instead of building a project, you start a business. I think this is the hardest thing to do. And for me, it's no go. She then recommends building an iOS app or an Android app. I think the reason why she's recommending it is, again, you're building a product that you are able to showcase on their appropriate storefronts. So if I say, go to my public repo and look at my public project, you will think, who cares, right? But if you build something that you deploy to an Android app or an Apple app and you have other users, that gives you a lot more credibility as a developer, because you didn't just build the thing to live in your own GitHub. You build a thing that actually other people are using. And that is the important thing. You want to build projects that others are using and that give you some social proof of you being a developer. And this is why she recommends going ahead and creating either an Apple iOS or Android device. So I don't really care for mobile development. Personally, I'm more of a web developer. And so to me, that's not the approach I took. But the third thing she recommends, create a website or a Chrome extension. So what's cool is, yes, you create a website, but the caveat here being, if you create a website, you want to make sure that it's a useful website and it has users or people using it. For instance, the Coding After 30 LMS project that I was showing you, part of my website, the reason why I like that idea is because I actually have people signing up to that website to use and watch my courses. So for instance, whenever I'm interviewed, I could say, hey, I built out this LMS project. It is getting 100 users a month or whatever. This is how I'm handling the data. This is how I'm doing. And it shows a little bit more social proof. But the idea of a Chrome extension, or it could be a plugin, I think I like that idea because, again, you could build a Chrome extension. I've built in the past. I haven't published any Chrome extensions to the Chrome store, but you could do that. And again, it is a better resume project in my mind because, again, you're deploying something to a store where other people could find and use it, giving you social proof. But maybe you don't want to build a Chrome extension, but you want to find other ways that you can participate, where you could contribute in a way where you could build a resume project that's worthy of showing to others. So here's some examples of what I did. So there are many platforms that exist like WordPress or Strapi, a headless CMS. A lot of places have a plugin ecosystem. So you could find what those places are and you could build plugins for other people to use. For instance, this is with Strapi where folks went ahead and build cool plugins for others to use. So if you build a plugin, you're able to showcase it on the store and this gives you a little bit more credibility. Another great way or another great project for you to build is to build a package that you share on NPM. And again, your goal is to build something that other people use. What's awesome about NPM, if you build something on NPM and you publish it, guess what? You have to maintain it. You have to help users with issues. And it's a really great way to put something out there which other people can use and allow you to work and make that thing better. So I built a couple of different things. So recently I built this Strapi community Astro loader that I started working on. It's other people are going to be using it. And I'm pretty sure if I go to my GitHub repo, people are probably already submitting issues. That's something that I'm going to fix. But the point here is I built something that's not just for myself, but it's other folks in the community can use. And I get to work on it, make it better. And the idea when you talk about projects you build, it's not just like, hey, I build a project in a repo that nobody knows about. I build a project that lives somewhere in public that other people use it and I am the maintainer of it. I also build a plugin for Strapi called Strapi Plugin OpenAI Embeddings. This is something that I have to update now that Strapi 5 is out, but I build this plugin that allows you to use Pinecone vector database, and it allows inside your Strapi application create embeddings for your content types so you could create chatbots that are aware of the context of your website. And again, this is something that's publicly available. It's part of a Strapi ecosystem that if anyone is looking for this functionality, they could find. And again, you could reference, hey, I built this plugin. We have this many users. And again, yes, this is getting 0 downloads this week, but I don't care. The whole point is you think of building things that solve problems for other developers. And let's see what other things she recommends. And finally, she recommends volunteering for a business, volunteering for a nonprofit, which you could probably put in the same thing. So one thing I'm going to tell you, and this is how I broke into the industry. A lot of times when you're starting out and you're applying to jobs, sadly, getting your first job is the hardest thing to do. So what I did in the past, I literally went to a lot of marketing agencies in my area and I asked around if they need any help with web design. I'm willing to work as an intern, willing to work for free. I'm not saying that working for free should be your main option, but I think I wouldn't pass it by you if you wanted to work in the professional settings and get some experience. And so I met a lady that I used to do Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu with. She happened to also own a marketing agency, and I asked her, can I help you? And at that time, they were building a lot of websites with WordPress. So I got my foot in the door, helping them work on WordPress built websites. It started very simple by making minor updates to HTML and CSS, and then eventually led into doing some custom PHP code, which I thought was really cool. And regardless how you think about, by getting an internship, and again, depending where you are in your life, maybe working for free makes no sense. This was a great way because that free internship led to a paid contract where I was hired at that agency as a contractor, helping them build WordPress website, which allowed me to continue learning to code on my own. And then eventually with that experience and other things that I've done, I was able to get my first what I call real dev job working for a company, building things with React and ASP.NET. Not saying you should all do ASP.NET. I don't do it anymore, but just to show you, I started as a PHP developer while still learning React on the side, and eventually led to another opportunity. You could also volunteer for nonprofits, and this is a huge one because, believe it or not, there are many nonprofit organizations that are needing help. They are nonprofit and always counting on volunteers to help them. What's cool about that, you get to work on real projects and you are able to build things that other people use. And if somebody on your resume and you say, hey, here's a GitHub project that nobody uses, nobody knows about, versus, hey, I worked for this nonprofit, check out this app or this website or this project we built. This is what I was responsible for, this is how we did it, it really adds a little bit credibility. And the final tip she gives is contribute to open source projects. And contributing to open source projects, and let me refresh this because I want to ask a new question. Why is it important to contribute to open source project? Whatever, click send. Let's see what my chat app tells me, any secrets. But here's the thing, contributing to open source project, really good for real world experience. Yes, it's great to show on your resume that you made contribution to open source project because there's a record. If you made a PR and they got merged, you could point to that PR and be like, hey, this company merged my PR, which is pretty awesome. And that's a great way to improve your skills because when you make a PR or a request or make a change, you might get some feedback and you'll probably need to update your code, reflect on that feedback. So it's a great way to improve your skills, but most importantly, it will validate your skills because if you contribute to open source and someone took your changes and committed them to the main code base, that really shows that you kind of know what you're doing, or at least you're on your way there. And, you know, in the video, she talks about impact and contribution. I think the idea is that when you're contributing to open source projects, you actually contribute to projects in production. So a really good way to show off your skills. But the biggest caveat with open source projects, it is very hard to get your PR accepted, and you really have to be committed to the community. So instead of just randomly trying to find things, find a project that you're passionate about. For me, I really love Strappy. So me, if I wanted to contribute on some sort of way, I would go ahead and contribute to Strappy's code base because this is what I'm excited about. This is something that I use all the time. So if you're going to go the open source route, go for something you believe in, something that you actually want to contribute, and be ready to spend a lot of time to learn as much as you can about that project or that technology so you could actually contribute in a meaningful way. And I know this video is getting longer, and just to kind of close everything up, basically, the more impactful your project that you build and touches many users, or someone uses it in real life, the more weight it has as a portfolio project. So should you stop building projects for your portfolio? I don't think so, because it's a great way to learn, but you should think of them as products or ways of solving business problems, kind of like this application that I showed you, which allows me to quickly have a conversation about a YouTube video to get the information without me having to sit through that video and watch it. I build it because I watch really long lectures, and sometimes you just want to get the summary, be able to ask questions, be able to ask follow-ups. And so I built something that solves my issue. And if I have an issue with that, maybe other people have issues with that. And once you build a project like that, try to put it out there and try to get users. If you have multiple users, even if it's not that many users using your project, that is validating your idea. You took something and that was an idea you had and you made it become alive in the real world where other people are using it. And basically when people hire you as developers, they're literally looking to see, are you able to build things that other people will use? At least that's how I think about it. You can let me know any ideas in your comments that you had. And then the final thing that I want to share, because I think it's, again, shows really good social proof to kind of iterate this idea of build something that a lot of people use, and it's a great resource. So this is not because I'm cool, it's because I was able to contribute to Strappy. So for Strappy, I built this Next.js corporate starter, which actually we're going to be retiring this year because we have another project that was built by Maxime called Launchpad, which if you're interested in Strappy and you want to check it out, if you click this try demo, enter your information, you'll be able to get a demo of Launchpad, which is a cool Next.js project that uses Strappy as a backend. To give you an example what Next.js and Strappy is all about, but that's not what I want to talk about. I just want to talk about this idea of building things that have greater reach and contribution. As you could see here, this project that I built has over 1,000 stars on GitHub. Again, that's social proof that other people are using it. It's been forked 333 times. So when you're building your projects, you want to make sure that you're building things that have reach. So when I go to my next job, I could say, hey, I built this project. They got over 1,000 stars on GitHub, this many people used it. And that basically shows, hey, you built something useful. Great job. And are all my projects useful like that? No, they are not, but I'm still going to show you this idea. Here's some projects that I've also worked on. As you could see, not all of them got that many stars. I had a Next.js dashboard, 109 stars. I had a Strappy Remix starter, 36 stars. And so the idea is find a community, build something cool for that community, share with the community, have them like it or use it, give you feedback. And that way what you're doing is you're building that social proof, which is very important. So I could say, I'm awesome. And maybe it's true, maybe it's not. But if there's a bunch of people that saying, hey, Paul's thing he built is awesome, that gives me extra social proof that I could use and leverage in my interview process or when talking about things that I've done. Now, the truth of the matter, I don't want to just say that's the only thing you need, but interviewing is really hard. There's so many things that go into consideration. So it will never be easy getting hired. You need to do interview prep. You need to build enough projects. But I find it the more projects you build and the more people it touched, the easier it gets. But anyway, you could let me know and tell me that I'm completely wrong or give me your suggestions, opinions, so other people below in the comments could learn what other things they could do to stand out as a developer. But I just wanted to share my opinion and my approach. And thank you for stopping by, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye, everybody.